Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your home for organic Bible study that's fresh and handled responsibly every single day. Well, today we're looking at verse 5 of Psalm 87. This has been a beautiful psalm, hasn't it? I mean, all the devotional content here in this psalm is magnificent. Of course, that's exactly what the psalmist wanted for us, is for us to see this devotional content. All that God has done, and He's done it in a place called Zion. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God. That's what it said there in verse 3. Well, today we're going back to the city of God. Yesterday we looked at Rahab, Babylon, Philistia, Tyre, Ethiopia. We talked about all of that and how God is calling a people unto Himself from all of those places. Now in verse 5, and of Zion it shall be said, this and that man were born in her, and the highest Himself shall establish her. And that's verse 5. That's where we're going to be today. Of Zion it is said. So this and that man were born in her. This idea of being born in, I think really speaks to, we're going to talk about this more again tomorrow. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. This idea of conversion. God is doing a work. This is a born-again experience that these people are having. Just like me. Okay, just take me or you for an example. Where were you born? Well, I was born in a little city in western Kentucky. That's where I was born. But I'm going to walk through the gates of Zion, and people will say, well, he was born there. He was born in Zion because I had a second birth, and that second birth made me a citizen of a heavenly city called Zion. And so Jesus said, you must be born again. By the way, have you been born again? Because Jesus said, you must be born again. And here we have in this psalm this idea of this new birth. There's a new birth that's taking place. People from all over now are coming to Zion. They shouldn't be able to come to Zion, but they are because they've had a new birth experience. And that's exactly what's happening here. And of Zion it shall be said, this and that man were born in her. But they weren't. They were born in Rahab and Babylon and Philistia and Tyre and Ethiopia and western Kentucky. So the highest who shall establish her, that is Zion, is bringing into her all of these folks who have had this salvation experience, this born-again experience that Nicodemus learned about as Jesus talked to him there in John chapter 3. Well, let's just go back and look at that real quick. In John chapter 3, and we're going to look at, let's see, I think it's verse 3 where we have Jesus say to Nicodemus, Jesus answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus saith unto him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Jesus answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, you must be born again. So this physical birth has happened, but now there's a spiritual birth that's happening amongst these citizens of this new kingdom. And this new kingdom is the kingdom in Zion. Because the highest himself, and that's an interesting thing right there. The highest himself, that's not a bad translation. I've translated this, and he who is the highest shall establish her. So we're learning here in this verse how to reference God Himself without using His name. So we're calling Him the highest, Elion. That's another way of describing who He is. He is the highest, and He's the one who is establishing Zion. How's He doing it? By bringing in all of these who have been born of the Spirit of God, just like Jesus taught us. Okay, I hope you'll join me again tomorrow, and we're going to look at verses 6 and 7 tomorrow as we conclude Psalm 87 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.